what is skibbity toilet? Explain that to me.
Yeah, I'll try. Wait. So
She was encouraging me to go and masturbate at a friend's house that lived nearby and quickly run back and give the sample cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Set. My next guest is Scott Kelley. He is a stand-up comedian who has a brand new Amazon special out on Prime Video called Word of Mouth. And Scott, I'm very happy for you to be here. Thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So I want to dive right into the Amazon special there. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to watch it yet. But
well, now I'm leaving.
Yeah. Well, that's about it for this show.
This is cut.
But yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm sure it's something to be proud of. Having a special on Amazon. How do you go about getting that filmed and recorded and put on a platform?
The process is there's a few different steps. The process with it was find the right venue for it. That was hard to do.
That's like the last thing I think of, actually.
That was the first thing, because I just I wanted that feeling. So I checked out a few places around town, and I had one booked, and I didn't really. I'm not gonna say because I just don't want to say the place around town. But
sure.
So the person, he's like, yeah, I got a stage. I went, and it was only this much of a lip. And I was like, that's not a stage, man.
Yeah.
But I booked there first, and then I was doing the open mics in town around here, and this guy named Rich Hirschberger started this thing called the Comedy Farm at Arts Altoona.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of that. Yeah.
So he's like, hey, I'm opening. He's like, I got the first show in April. This is last year. He's like, you want some time on it? I was like, yeah, because he knows I'm working on this special. I was like, yeah, I would love that. So I show up there, and that stage. I just felt like it was right.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling. So I called that guy in the airplane. I was like, I'm done. And he said some choice words to me. And but I don't regret it because it was awesome. So once I got that done, having that venue, that was the biggest load off of me and everything. I was like, okay, so I just focus on the material.
Sure.
And then the other part of it was really just kind of getting in, you got to get a lot of reps in on the stage of all the jokes, all the writing. And people don't realize this. There's a good special out there, just came out just recently. It's from a guy, I don't know if you've ever heard of Mark Normand.
No, I haven't, no.
So he has this guy named Salacuse that does stuff with him. He's like I don't know if you want to say his personal videographer, but he does other comedians, but he definitely does stuff with him. And they did a documentary just came out last Friday about writing bits. And he's a famous comedian. He's on Netflix and everything else. And I felt that because I realized that from last year, you would try something and maybe 25% of it worked. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And then in the 50%. And then you go and try it on stage and then it's 0% on a real comedy stage. People don't understand open mics to comedy stages is vastly different.
Sure, yeah.
The open mics is full of other musicians, other comedians. And so hard to get the feedback. And necessary it's not really means the joke works. And so you go to the comedy crowds and they're there to see comedy. And then you get to see, does a joke truly work or not?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's all this trial and error. So you could be at 50%, and then now you're at 25, and then you work on it. Now you're at 75, and then you go to a comedy crowd, and they're like, now you're back at 50. It's just this whole up and down. It's so grueling to get everything just right.
Yeah.
So
what was that guy's name again? You said
Mark Normand.
Is he the one that he kind of has a voice? He sounds kind of like this. It's very is he younger, middle age?
No, yeah, he's about because I'm 39. He's I think 43, 44.
Does he kind of have a big nose?
No.
I'm thinking the wrong guy.
You're the wrong guy, that one.
Never mind. All right.
Well, no, you're all right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of Mark, because now that is it Norman?
Normand, yeah. He had a special on Netflix called Soup to Nuts. Then there was a special on YouTube called Out to Lunch.
Is his comedy style very
old style, the kind of mine is there's just the one-liners, but it's on topics though.
Yeah.
And he just kind of goes out and through them.
I think I know who you're talking about. He doesn't have any glasses. He's
no glasses.
It's shorter hair.
Yeah, black hair. It's kind of a little curly.
Yeah, there's some I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, if it's the same guy, he is very funny. He's a very funny comedian.
Yeah. And there's him and Sam Morril. They're kind of when I saw those guys, because whenever I was doing my style of one-liner comedy stuff back in the day, people were like, where's your trauma? Where's your pain? And I was like, well, that's not my style. Like, that's not what I grew up with. Like, the style I grew up with comedy was more like, Rodney Dangerfield, that style of humor and comedy. And that's the stuff I enjoy, like the old D. Martin roast. My dad would show me those, like that kind of quick hitting jokes. That's the style I liked. So that's the style I started doing. Even like Zach Galifianakis, if you ever seen his stand up, Demetri Martin, like that kind of style. And then people would just would tell me, like, don't be like that. Where's your pain? Where's your trauma? I was like, I don't want to talk about that stuff. It's not for me.
Yeah, a lot of comedy now, they have a lot of, it's a lot of self-deprecation and stuff like that, which I feel like every comedy has a little bit of that involved into it. But I did see the one clip from your special about the dog. That was funny. I can't remember exactly how it went, but that was a really funny clip.
I cut that down. That's in the special, it's 5 minutes long, but I just put up the first minute worth of, or 40 seconds, whatever, how much I put up there of it. Yeah. So the joke basically goes, I found that my neighbor has sex with his dog. For sure that's no walk in the park.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The guy went from bros before hoes to pooch before cooch.
Yeah, yeah. Like those one-liners, like
just like boom, boom. So, there's more after that, because the last one I think that's on that you were seeing with, but he's got 99 problems, but bitch ain't one.
Yeah.
There's more. There's more in the special. There's more of those. There's like 3 or 4 more after that I keep saying, and then I go into the part of like how I'm sure like if you dissect it, like when he's around his friends and they're all talking about their relationship issues, they don't know what we know behind closed doors. So everything he says is that sounds normal. Like, I'm in the doghouse, and he's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I take it into there, and I weave into a story where I call the police on him, and then I take it to a story where like how I was close to bestiality, which is. It's just not true. It's just for a joke and everything. Sure. And so like a whole 5-minute bit. But that one right there was so hard to get right, because people are like, hear animal sex, and it's like, especially dogs. People love dogs. They cherish dogs.
It's like you pick the one animal that like people are just like very cherishable about, So that guy was very cherishable about his dog. Yeah.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah. Now, when you write a joke like that, are you worried that, it's going to be like maybe too far, or you're like, I don't give a shit, like whatever happens.
I don't give a shit. And I don't like attempt it with that attitude. It just, I don't care. I just want to try to make it funny. And like a comedian friend of mine named Scott Reed, he's like, because people say like I have dark humor. He's like, I don't think you're dark. He's like, I think you're light dark. You go right to the toe of the dark, but then you make fun of it instead of like making it, because like you ever hear Anthony Jeselnik? You ever hear his stuff, his dark one-liners? Like
I think so, yeah.
His stuff is more like it gives power to the darkness, and my version is I take away from the darkness, like and I make fun of it. I dissect it down, so I go right to it, but I don't go over and like, hey, So I didn't think of that, but then that's what he said. He feels like my stuff is. So like when I write these things, I don't try to give power to these dark topics.
Sure.
I take away from the dark topics.
Make light of it.
Make light of it.
Yep.
We've all been through dark stuff, I'm sure, in our lives, and like. So I get annoyed, and it has its place. Fun and fluffy comedy material has its place. People need that. I get that, but that's just not my style. My style is I want to talk about these things that we're not talking about that like needs to be made fun of. Let's take the power away from it.
Exactly.
But I know sometimes people see that and they hear what I'm saying. They get caught up in what I'm saying, and they just think, "Oh, this is dirty and this is dark." I don't want to like.
Yeah, it's. I've said this probably. I mean, especially on this podcast, I've probably said it about 1,000 times, but I'll say it again. Like, I do things that are like I know what's going to get eyes on it, and so I'll do what gets eyes on it. And sometimes it's going out of a comfort zone where you're making light of a dark, subject, but it's funny. We all have a dark sense of humor to us, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But because you're the one doing it, it's like, whoa, like, relax, because they know you, or they might know who you are. But that's what, all the stuff we watch and consume every day is these people going out of their comfort zone. But because we don't know them personally, it's like
Oh yeah.
it's a disconnect. We don't feel bad that they're doing it.
People don't know, and it's a good thing. Like people don't know me enough to know how much am I joking.
Yeah.
Are you serious with what you're talking about and everything? It's like no, these like. So I would say a lot of my stuff is just fake, and then sometimes it's a kernel of truth, and then I just embellish so much around it.
Oh, sure.
Very few things that I say in the stage has like 100% truth. Very few. It's mostly just that kernel. I'm like, well, if it went this direction,
how far can I run with this?
Can I just, take it. Like in the special, whenever you see it, there, the ending bit is about me and a sperm test story. So. It's true, and unfortunately, for anyone if you've watched it, it's 100% true. I'm not embellishing anything. That exactly happened. My thoughts in those moments. So basically, what happened was, so we were trying to. My wife was trying to have kids, and we were having trouble conceiving. She did all these other things, and then it was my turn to do the whole sperm test. So I show up to UPMC. And with my empty cup, I'm like, I'm here, like that. And they're like, oh, we don't have a facility on site. I'm like, what? She's like, we don't have a facility. I think I've waited 15 minutes. And she's like, yeah. I was like, well, I live 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And she's like, I know, because you have 55 minutes before a sample is useless and just void. I was like, so what do you want me to do? She's like, do you have any friends that live nearby? I'm like, can you go to their house?
wait.
She was encouraging me to go and masturbate a friend's house that lived nearby and quickly run back and give the sample cup. So the true story goes, like, I wasn't going to do that. I didn't want to have friends. And I wanted to be in the car and do it outside. So I went to the bathroom downstairs at UPMC hospital and I masturbated.
Oh, my God.
To the cup. And I gave it to her and went upstairs. And I waited another 20 minutes before I even gave it to somebody else. So
oh my God,
that's a true story. I went and I just did it when
Why wouldn't they have a testing? That's so stupid.
I just didn't want to go back to my wife because so not to get too personal, but like there's a lot of tears and ups of her being upset, and I just kept thinking of her crying and being like, "Well, I just couldn't get it done." And I'm just like, I'm gonna go at any length right now, and there was a guy shitting too. I had to wait for him to stop shitting.
Oh my gosh!
So
I thought you were about to say like you were in there masturbating while the guy was shitting next to you.
No, I couldn't. I waited. That's in this, and that's in the special too. Like I was waiting for him to be done. I was like standing there and just like, okay, all right. And he was going at it too. I was like, great, all right. So so that is a true story. That is one out of the special. That's the only one that's 100% true.
Yeah, I think like so. I mean, it's the same thing with me. Like when I write a movie script or something, if it involves someone like stabbing somebody else, it's not like I stab people. You know what I mean? But I feel like when it's put down on paper and it's like, this is a creation of mine, people are like, what the hell's wrong with you? And it's like, how do you think anything you ever watched in your entire life gets made? Oh, yeah. It's
completely.
It's from people like us who are just like, I'm going to run with something and let's see what happens.
When you look at any drama, people love crime thrillers. There's a lot of dark behind that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So like me making fun of that stuff, like I'm just trying to make it light like that. Not trying to give power to, a serial killer like that. I'm just making fun of him.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't get that unless, they're watching someone famous do it.
You have to build that trust. They have to trust you. And everything to build up like, oh, he's just making jokes like that.
Yeah. And it's like, it's more like it's enjoyable for you as well. Like, you write something down, you think it's really funny, you want to share it. Like, and that's all it is. And, if someone doesn't have the same sense of humor as you or I, who cares?
No, that'd be crazy for me to think that everyone has to have my sensibility or even everyone has to like me.
Exactly.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's just, some people don't like horror movies. Some people do. Some people might not think you're funny. Some people think you're funny. Yeah. It's just what people like. And there's too much criticism and like people are scared that you're going to go too far with a joke or something, and it's unnecessary.
You can sometimes go too far with the joke. I've seen it happen. Even my early years when I was trying to figure out who my identity was on the stage, like I definitely know for a fact I've taken jokes too far where it just came off more mean versus like just being funny, like, oh, you made me laugh. I didn't want to laugh at that and everything. So I definitely, it's just trial and error, man.
When did you know you wanted to be a stand-up comic?
Oh my God. So I was 7 years old, and like my dad had on, like, again, go back to the D. Martin roast. It was on TV, and I watched. It was on a VHS. This is going back how far? And actually, I think it was Betamax. If anyone remembers Betamax. But anyways.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
All right, sir. I'm good. I'm getting older here, but
I know what a VHS tape is. I used to watch those.
it's before that. It was a smaller, condensed version of a VHS tape. It was very small.
I can't believe no one has ever said. I feel like I'm a pretty smart individual, and I can't believe I don't know what that is. That's crazy.
Betamax. Look it up.
I will.
Google that later.
Yeah.
So, so it was on that, and like I just like, hey, this is funny, and it made my dad laugh, and I'm like, okay. And I just always would like make my grandparents laugh when I go to their house, and I just like that high feeling you get of making people laugh. Those endorphins rushing through, and I'm like, I like this feeling. And then it was was it? I think it was. I was 10 years old. It was on July 4th in 1996, and the reason I remember this date specifically is because it was a very big moment in my life. My friend's dad had Adam Sandler's CD album, number 2 album he put out called "What the Hell Happened to Me," and we borrowed that, and we were listening to that. In the car, my friend came with me to my parents to watch 4th of July fireworks, and everyone's outside the car watching the fireworks. We're in here laughing at something we should never be listening to as 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is hilarious. I love this style of humor. So same night we get home, I drop my friend off, I come home, and my parents had those, you may not even know this either, just going back again, those huge satellite dishes where you could pick up free channels.
Yes, yeah.
Like this, it was monstrous. So that's what we had, and it picked up some channel that had In Living Color, and it was a scene where Jim Carrey was doing Fire Marshal Bill, and I laughed hysterically at this, and then I had I forget his name now, David Wayans, doing Homie the Clown, and I was like, this is all these great sketches, and I was like, this is amazing, and then even later that night. I was always rummaged through. My brother is 16 years older than me, so I would always rummage through all of his stuff. And I found a cassette tape that said the Jerky Boys. And I was like, I don't know what this is. Looks kind of funny. And I popped it in and started listening to Jerky Boys. So I had like 3 comedic moments that night, and that's when I was like, I would love to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, teenage years happened. I got into BMX, got into girls, something like that, and I just totally forgot about this whole part of my life.
Sure.
And it wasn't until years later that in July of 2010, I decided to I'm going to start doing stuff here. I want to start doing it. And I was in, I don't know, mid-20s, 24, 25 at that point.
So you always had like a love for it, and it just kind of like resurfaced again.
It resurfaced.
Yeah, I've always had an interest in comedy, but I only think I'm funny in conversation. Like, I don't think I could stand up, and is that something you ran into before?
Yeah, I definitely. You think I crack my friends up all the time. I crack my family up. I like, oh man, yeah, I got this, man. I got this completely.
Yeah.
And it worked for the first 6 months. I was just like on fire. Every set I did, I was crushing it.
Really?
And then the novelty wore off, and I hit this brick wall, and it took years to find, how do I get out of this moment? Like, why was that working? And then now it's not.
It's like almost like writer's block in a way. Yeah.
I was even doing the same bits, the same jokes, and it just wasn't working. And I was like, what? Why was a good thing for 6 months?
Do you think that's like a culture shift? Like, do you think that's like you have to, like, comedy has to almost adapt with like the times we're living in, or do you not think that's?
Yes and no. It depends. If you want to talk about the current times, you gotta adapt to the current times. You want to make fun of these certain things. If you want to be evergreen, then you really don't have to. It just kind of stands the test of time. You could just make a joke. Jokes I've used for the special, or like, this is my 14th year doing comedy. I had jokes from last year was 13 years, so it was 13 years when I started, and I used those jokes. They still worked. It's just I write evergreen, at least for myself, just because I don't know when anything's going to take off.
Sure.
And I don't want anything to be on a shelf. It's dated, and I can never use it again.
Yeah. I see that in. I mean, of course, like, I'm in the film industry, so I see that in, like, you have Airplane, Naked Gun, all those, I love those movies. Those are my favorite comedy movies. It was like those 3 directors, Zucker, Abrams, and I forget the last guy. I think his name was Zucker too, maybe. I don't remember.
David Zucker? I don't remember right now. You're making me like go deep into my well of memories right now. I can't pull it out.
The three of them were called Zaz. Like that was their ZAZ. So like they made all these cool movies that were, these comedy movies, Airplane being their most popular. And I just loved all the that style of humor. It was just so literal. It was literal comedy. I was a fan of it. And now, in today's world, I couldn't see a movie being made like that, even though they are remaking Naked Gun. I don't know if
I just saw the trailer. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm excited about that. And
I'm hopeful they get the tone of like it kind of did in a way. The ending clean with O.J. Simpson's son.
When that joke came up, I was like, okay, I think this might be good. Like this could be pretty good. So I'm excited for that. But I was, up until the trailer was just released, was just a couple days ago, I was thinking like, man, I want to write a movie like that. And I bet you they'll never be able to release something because that comedy is, dated. I couldn't, people my age, I don't know a lot of people my age in their early 20s that would laugh at something like Airplane or Naked Gun, just because humor is different now.
That's true. Like, let me ask. All right, so you do love the question asking. Let me ask you a question here.
Absolutely.
So you're in your early 20s. I'm hitting 40. Mm-hmm. What do you see the difference then between your generation's humor and my generation's humor? What's the difference then?
Okay, that's a good question.
5, 4, 3.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So my generation's humor is getting, I don't know if you're, I guess I'll do test of time here, but
go for it.
This thing called brain rot now. I don't know if you even know what this is.
I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually younger than me. So there's actually like these teenagers now who are, their humor is brain rot. And I laugh at some of it. I think it's pretty funny, but like you have like right now, like the skibbity toilet thing.
I don't know what the heck that even is.
Yeah, that's good.
Skibbity toilet.
Yeah.
What is skibbity toilet? Explain that to me.
Yeah, I'll try. What is that? Well, there's this video. It's like an animated video that went viral on TikTok, and it was like this head. I said it was animated, right? Yeah, it's animated. So there was like this head that was coming out of a toilet, and he just kept singing this song that it was like skibbity bop bop. I don't know, something like that. It was like he was like scatting. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
like
scatting. Yeah.
So that's all it really was, and it went viral, and now like skibbity toilet is like a thing, and it means something. Like now they turned it into like a lingo word that it means something. Kind of like, I don't know if you know what Riz is. Have you heard of Riz?
You're talking to almost 40-year-old guy. So
I'm trying. So Riz, I guess, is short for charisma.
Oh, okay.
And like if you have Riz, like if a kid has, these are like 18-year-olds probably. If you have Riz, that means like you're good at like picking up women or whatever you're into, men. I guess.
I talk about this with my wife sometimes. Like, someday I'm going to go into a store and I'm going to be like, hey, can I get a Mountain Dew? And I'm like, dude, you just said you got AIDS. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I just want Mountain Dew. No, it doesn't mean that anymore. We don't call Mountain Dew. We call it something else.
Yeah, exactly.
What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
You're feeling outdated because every generation has their own terms,
Yeah. And so this new, to answer your question, this new humor that like the generation coming up, which would be, what is the new generation? I'd be Gen Z.
Is it Zoomers? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, something like
Zoomers
that.
Or something? I don't know.
So this new generation coming in, their humor is very, it's so hard to explain. I'd be able to show you something that's like something that like they would laugh at, and you would be like, what the hell? Why is this even funny? Like, it's just, it's very difficult. There's even companies now, that I see it on TikTok every once in a while, like NFL teams, when they win a game, they'll post something that's like it's called brain rot. Like the humor is called brain rot. And so it's literally what it does is like rots your brain. It's so stupid. Like it's that bad of humor. But these NFL teams will like post it, and I'll have to show you after the podcast. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And it's so hard to explain, and you would look at it and be like, wow, we're doomed. like society is crumbling before us.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I don't even, it's such a hard thing
I already felt this way about the generation before me's humor. And now I'm so far removed that it's a generation later.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, oh my goodness.
And I'm like I said, like I'm in my early 20s. I don't even understand all of it. There's words that mean something that I don't even understand, and I work in tech and online all the time, and it's just
Jeez.
yeah, it's a weird direction we're moving in, and I always think what is a stand-up comedian in 20 years going to look like? Like some guy who's 18 now.
Skibbity dip dop dip.
Yeah. Like what's
Coming out of a toilet and everything.
Yeah, it's like
Applause. It reminds me of, you know what? Andy Kaufman. You ever say anything about Andy Kaufman?
Yeah, yep.
That whole. You ever see his one? It reminds me of one of his bits where he's on the Congos and he's playing this song and he's like, "You guys didn't really like me, did you?" And he's crying, going like that,
Yeah,
and crying, and he just starts crying to the beat of the Congos. Like it's so weird. It's out there. It reminds me of like that kind of stuff. At least what you're trying to explain, like just so
exactly like
out there.
You can't. It's one of the it's like one of those things you just have to like see it, and then if you think it's funny, then you think it's funny. If you don't, you don't. I think a lot of it is really dumb. There's a couple things I'll laugh at, but I'm laughing at it because of how stupid it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that's been around for a long time. I'm sure there was a point in time where, like the comedy you do was something that a generation or two before you were like, well, how's anyone going to ever laugh at that?
True.
It's
even,
weird how times change.
Even if you look at Steve Martin, like his stuff from back in the day, it was like a takedown of comedy. He was making fun of comedy, stand up at least, and like him being like, "Oh, I got happy feet," and he's running around with happy feet. Like the crowd laughed and ate that stuff up. That's not really comedy, but it was just something he did. He was just making fun of like a stand up comedian.
Yeah, exactly.
And that stuff. So. Like
Red Skeleton was
yes.
one that I watched when I was a kid, which he's, oh geez, I was like 50s, 60s now. Like that's really far back. So, he was always someone that I watched that at the time he was doing weird stuff that people didn't really understand. And until he became a household name, and then, it's like, oh, and then that's a classic now, now that once he's been around for so long, that's a classic comedy. So, yeah, it's all with how times change, and I guess comedy, it does kind of change in a way.
It changes, and then there's always seems to be something from the past at least still there.
Like history repeats itself almost.
In some way. Like even like the whole political correctness stuff, like that's been slowly going away. Like I've seen comedy specials lately where like they're saying everything and anything anymore.
Yeah, Netflix is starting to really embrace like comedians, which is nice because. Which I wanted to ask you about, during COVID, everybody's trapped in their house and they want to just criticize everything and everyone. Did you have trouble during that time of like writing jokes and being afraid?
I didn't even do anything. The last show I did was, because I came back in May 2022. So the last show I did before that was January of 2020. And I just stopped writing completely.
What did you think about like that whole time, like when
I honestly
cancel culture?
It was kind of like I was never afraid to say anything because I just don't like I don't know. I just feel like there's a way to say it, and if I could just crack that code, it's going to be fine no matter what.
Delivery,
yeah.
Sure.
I remember my first joke I did in 7th grade where I said the joke about a student and a teacher with the other teacher present, and the teacher laughed, and they're like, "Okay, never say that again, though." And it hit me. It's like if I just do it just right, I can get away with it.
Yeah.
And that's consider that the whole political correctness, everything that was going on there for a while. It's like if you just say it right, you're gonna get away with it.
Yeah,
it just has to be right.
And do you think like now, like during the whole political correctness, like time and cancel culture and all that, do you think? In your opinion, like, do you think the right way to say it was, like cancel culture's right way to say something was just kind of taking away from the comedy?
I wouldn't even say. I think it's a new thing from Seth Rogen. I read about him just recently and in an article, and he said how like he's not concerned about this stuff because, comedy should be hard. Our job should be hard. It shouldn't be easy. It should be find a way. If you're going to say there was these walls right here, well, I got to find a way around these walls and still make it funny. He's like, so if you're just plowing right through the wall, then you're just making it easy. You're just doing an easy joke. Low hanging fruit is what they say.
Exactly.
To be fair, I do like some low hanging fruit jokes. I'm gonna be honest. I don't care. I do. I like the highbrow. I like the lowbrow.
Yeah. Whatever you can get.
Wherever I can get, I like it either way, man. I like a corny. There's some corny dad jokes I say in my set, and I'm very aware of that. And do I care? No, because I like it. I don't care.
Yeah. I know you. So you mentioned Adam Sandler and like his music CD, and I come to understand that you like music as well, and and you write some of your own songs, and play guitar. And in the questionnaire, you said you write songs that no one will ever hear. But I'm curious as to like what is that genre that you're writing, and
acoustic mellow stuff to punk rock to heavy metal. That's pretty much where my jam is with stuff. I do it because it's cathartic for me, you know. Because people said that because you're doing comedy, like I do a bit where I have the guitar, but I just play a simple beat over it, and I just say a bunch of random nonsensical one-liners. I don't try to add like here's a chorus, here's a verse. It's just one little simple beat and everything, and nothing else. And people are like, you should do because anyone who's seen me come to my shows when I bring my guitar, I gotta do the checkups with the amps and everything, make sure it's loud enough for the back. So I'm doing that. I'm actually playing. I'm doing shreds and arpeggio riffs and stuff like that. And people are like, "Oh, you can play." I'm like, "Yeah." And then you hear me play. I'm just like, "Dee." It's like
it doesn't sound like strings are breaking. And,
It's just I just don't do that stuff when I do my comedy. That's just something for me. I have no problem taking someone else's music and let's make a parody of this. But when it's my own stuff that I create, it's like it's got to be serious. It's just for me.
Are you a Weird Al Yankovic fan?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah.
Me as a kid, I was like obsessed with him like for a long time. I loved Weird Al Yankovic and just like that was a whole like open door to comedy as well that like has never seen before. I feel like that's where Adam Sandler probably got inspiration from. I mean, of course we don't know, but you know, because he started the music, like making funny music after that, and I feel like Weird Al was probably like the start of kind of like the comedy parody stuff.
I have no idea if there's anybody before Weird Al that made a funny song purposely. I have no idea. I can't recall any off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So I think he did kind of start this trend where you could do stuff, you know, with that. The only thing I can think of, but it would be after Weird Al Yankovic. That heavy metal band called Anthrax, had a song called "I'm the Man." It was just some weird, funny, nonsensical rap rock mix-up thing. It was only like 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, but like again, that was after Weird Al.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I was a huge Weird Al fan. Have you ever thought about doing like the music?
I did.
Incorporating it?
I did. I did one in 2017 called Elf on the Shelf. I made fun of the Elf on the Shelf. I had a rap song for it with a friend of mine, Stevie St. John. I don't know if you ever heard of him or know who he is. He has his own, well, he did have his own rap group called I Am Sleep. But so I had him on the vocals for the verses and the choruses. We had a music video for it. It was out there, and it was just this past Christmas season. We got a cease and desist from the owners of Elf on the Shelf.
Oh, my gosh.
So it got to them, and we had to tear it down. So it's no longer out there. Where I apparently went wrong with parody was I shouldn't have called it Elf on the Shelf. I should have called it something else, but you get the idea. And I shouldn't have used the real Elf on the Shelf costume in the video.
Yeah.
So I learned a few things about parody. It was my first foray into doing that. I never did anything after. Now I am writing things right now. Because I'm working on a sketch CD / sketch or musical comedy album mix up right now. I have a song I am doing right now called Luigi Mangione. So
let's go.
I don't want to give too much away, but it's definitely catchy. My wife has even been saying, she goes, "Pop, Luigi Mangione." So I don't want to say why that we say that in context of the song just yet. I want to wait till that song comes out. But there is a reason why it's saying that. And it's not just because of what he did. There's other reasons in the song.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for that. That'll actually be really funny. So I know. Before we started here, we had a small conversation, and we connected the dots that I read one of your scripts.
Yes.
That I didn't even like realize, and I'm not going to give too much away, of course, but film and movies are also a passion of yours, and that's where I think other than comedy, because I do like comedy a lot. That's another kind of like connection that you and me both have overlapping is like the film industry and movies. So you wrote a script. Is that another like hobby or passion that you have, is like writing a film or a comedy?
I would love to. I even told my wife, like, I'm fine if stand up never went anywhere. If I would just be a writer for movies, like I'm cool with that. No one knows who my name is. It shows up on the screen for a quick second in the theaters, but then like no one cares about me. Like that's fine, as long as the money's come in, the checks are paid. That's fine with me. But yeah, I wrote a movie called Timothy, the second son of God, and basically it was about like basically the devil's coming back again, and Jesus doesn't want to do the whole sacrifice and all that stuff again. So there's another one of God's sons called Timothy. He was the very first one, but he was unlike Jesus whatsoever. Swore, cussed, did drugs, everything else like that. So he was removed from the Bible, never mentioned ever again. But now, and his penance is being stuck on earth this whole entire time. He's very bitter and very angry, sarcastic. He's an asshole, basically. But he also has God powers, too. So the whole concept then becomes like God needs him. Like that. And he needs to do the sacrifice. And then there's more levels to it than that. So when I met Tony, we were just kind of exchanging like, hey, what you got going on? I was like, well, I got this script. So he checked it out and he's like, oh, this is amazing. This is hilarious. He's like, there's some plot errors and some character developments that needs hashed out. He's like, can we work on this together? I said, yeah, I'm fine with that. So we worked on I worked on it myself for a year, and then me and him worked on it together for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And we finally got to this great form. And, it's one of my proudest scripts I've ever written. Like I will hold that up to the day I die.
It's entertaining. I mean, I read it. It was entertaining, and like it's so funny because when you reached out to me to be on the podcast, I was like, I know a Scott Kelley. Where do I know him from? But I haven't seen your comedy up until like you reached out, and I was like I know this name from somewhere. I just cannot put my finger on it. And then, I have everybody fill out a questionnaire, beforehand so that I can, if I haven't met them, I can kind of get to know them a little bit. And you said about like the movie, like you have a passion in movie and stuff. And then you said about Tony Bambachi connecting, the two of us. And I was like, okay, now I'm like really, it's right there. And then we figured out like, yes, you were the one who like wrote this script. And I was just like, holy crap, that's crazy that like, it's just, we didn't mean for this to happen the way it did. But
it worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how that worked.
Yeah. Wait, so we actually, like I think I told you here, we got to, Danny McBride, because I wrote the part for Danny McBride, Timothy. Yeah. I wrote for him. Like, I love Eastbound Down. I like Righteous Gemstones. I just like Danny McBride in general. So when I wrote that, I wrote for him. And we got to him. It was through, Tony has an agent. So it was through him that we got to him. Now, we have no idea if he read it. I'm sure it was probably sitting on a desk somewhere or just went right to the trash. I don't know. But the point is, we did get the script to him.
Yeah.
What happened next, I have no idea. But.
So I know you, in talking more about your writing, I know you did SNL, or you had the opportunity to write, or you like auditioned for it. Explain like how that was and what was that? So
basically, how that story went about, we were in New York City in 2013, me and my wife, and we went across Rockefeller Plaza where SNL is, and my wife's like, you should go up there and be like, I want to apply as a writer. And I was like, they're not going to let us get anywhere. He's like, if we act like we own it, like that, they'll let us get through.
That's true.
And I was like, okay. So we got in. We actually got in. And she acted as my agent. She's like, he's here to apply as a writer for Saturday Night Live. She's like, oh, okay. And then just let me through. I went up to the elevator. They told me what floor it was. We get out, and there's 2 security guards right there before you get to these doors that get you right into SNL.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't have the confidence. I like the reality of the moment I stepped in. My wife was like killer. She was like stone cold, like, we're here for this. And I'm just like, So my wife's like nudged me. So you tell me what you're here for. I was like, I'm here. SNL writing. So this is true. So they knew right then and there. This was, I'm sure I wasn't the only one who's ever tried to pull this off, you know? And they're like, the security guy's like, tell me a joke. I'm like, okay. So I told him a joke.
Damn, that's part of the interview process.
Yes. So I told him a joke. He laughed. He goes, all right, another joke. So I told another joke, and the other guy laughed then. And he goes, okay, here's what we can do for you. He was like, hang on 1 second. So he goes in the room, comes back. He's like, gives us a card, and it's the name to the producer of SNL. He's like, give this guy a call.
Not Lorne Michaels.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay.
Another guy. I won't say his name here. He's still on there. But
Sure.
He gave us a card. So we get home from vacation. My wife calls, acting like my agent and everything. And we didn't give him our cell phone number. We gave him because at that time we still had a landline at our house. We were still, this is going back, of course it is still late, 2013, still owning landlines, but still, we had cell phones and landlines in 2013, at least in our household.
Yeah.
So
I still have a landline in my house.
So I don't know why we didn't think of it. She should have just gave him her cell phone number. We gave her our house number, and he called, and it's our answering machine messages. Hi, this is us, and like,
Oh my!
So he's like, pauses. Okay, so I'm trying to speak to Melissa and everything, and about Scott here, and so she picks up and talks to him. We got his email. He emailed us the waiver forms and stuff like that, and I sent him. He told me what was needed for our writing packet for SNL. So I did what I could with that, sent it to him, and then I asked my wife, I was like, maybe you should ask me, like, can I apply as a cast member? Like,
oh, yeah.
Can I
take a shot, yeah.
So she sent him an email, and he wrote back, yeah, here's this person. Email this person. Here's the form. This is what he needs to do. I was like, I can apply as a cast member?
That's crazy.
Holy crap. So I filmed a DVD. And again, I've been to many podcasts lately and explaining this where I have burned it. It's gone. The whole thing's gone.
I assume it was bad.
It was very bad.
Okay.
I found it during COVID, like that, when I was going through things, like, oh, delete. So, the only one who may have it is SNL at this point, if they even kept it. But, so I definitely wasn't being consideration for a cast member.
Sure.
It was not. So we got word, it was like, after I submitted that in, it had to be the beginning of July. No, June. It was the beginning of June. So at the end of July, I asked my wife, can we reach out to him, like see like what's going on? He goes, oh yeah, he's being considered right now. We're going through the process. I'm like, okay. I just thought that was just talk, like he just saying. And then I started on Twitter. I started getting followed by the cast and members and writers of SNL.
Oh my!
I was like, oh shit, this is real, and everything. And then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, they all dropped me from Twitter. I was like, that's weird. I don't think this is a good sign.
Oh, wow. I wonder why that's weird.
So we reached out again, and they said, unfortunately, we went in a different direction. The person they hired, I don't know. There's only one position left of the writing position. The person they hired was Pete Davidson. And I can't hate. Like, I like him. I think he's funny.
Yeah.
I can't hate. Honestly, to be truthful, they made the right choice.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was more suited back then for that than I probably would have been. I know I was biting off more than I could chew. That was only 2 years into comedy. Like, what did I really know? Yet. I'm just 2 years in. So I think now I'll be more built for it. But then they made the right choice, honestly. They really did. So,
that's crazy.
So there's that.
I mean, that makes a really good story, though.
It does. It's a sad story, but a good story. I have that because I got a copy of my application I did, and I have it framed in my den area, from 2013 because I was close because I applied it all the way up until 2017, and nothing ever got close as 2013. It was.
Have you ever thought about doing it again?
I could if I wanted to. I just haven't. Serious. Wait, that's my son's. He must have turned on. We had gotten these smart watches for kids where they can tell you where they are, and he must have turned it on. Sorry, that's what my beep was.
Okay. Oh no, you're good. You're good.
So, anyway, so there's that in 2013, and the other thing that happened in 2013, that was I got hired on a TV show for AMC. It was in production. It was called The Riffing Dead. A friend of mine pitched it because at the time Walking Dead was very popular.
Yep.
And he pitched it to AMC through his contacts. And the idea was, I don't know if you've ever seen Mystery Science Theater 3000.
No, I haven't.
So basically, they have these talking heads in the back of these different people or creations, or you want to call them, and they're making fun of like B movies and just like joking around. So his idea was to take that concept but do it The Walking Dead. They liked it, so I wrote. And we only got season 1's one that he got approved for, and I wrote all of the first episodes, season 1. They liked it so much they hired me to write episode 6. Then I was the only writer that got hired for 2 scripts in the same season.
Yeah.
And they have friends like, can you do voices? I'm like, oh yeah, I can do voices. And so I did a few. He's like, come down, we need to record some of your stuff. I'm like, are you serious? I can record for this? I thought it was just gonna be a writing. He goes, you can do that. So we did all that stuff. And flash forward to a few months later, he got in a major car accident, almost lost his life.
Gosh.
He had to take a year's worth to learn how to walk and everything else again. And then he decided he just wanted to settle down, marry the girl he's with from high school, and just pursue that life. And we're like, I can't speak for anybody else, but I was like, can you just like give this to me? This your project is no, it's my idea. It stays with me. I'm sorry, guys. And that was it.
Wow.
So 2013 was definitely like SNL. Oh, and then it was like AMC, the show.
Wow. So
yeah.
Have you? I mean, do you want to go back into that like realm again and try to make it in
definitely
and writing something like for film or TV or whatever?
Well, that's what with Timothy. That's what happened with that. We got to even Sony's. Like Sony, I still have the email because Tony forwarded it to me, and he said that we love the idea. This is such an original idea, but unfortunately, during current climate times, making fun of religion, we don't really want to touch this right now. And I was like, okay, so.
I could see that. I feel like that could be. I think we're getting out of that time though, where this script could be something that, a production company would be willing to touch and pick up, just because I do think anywhere from like 2018 to 2022, that was just like prime. Shitting on comedy, shitting on you can't say anything. If you say something, you're banished from ever doing anything ever again. So I think that could be something that is like a good, like now is a good time, or like soon is a good time.
I do want to say, because you made me think of this. So the script that you read is vastly different from the version that I just solo wrote myself, because we dumbed it down. Like the version you got, like me and Tony worked together, we dumbed it down as far as the humor and the crass and everything. Because my original intention was, you always hear that thing like, Blazing Saddles couldn't be made today.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm gonna make my own version of Blazing Saddles, but through a religious comedy.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, you did it. You 100% did it.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we're gonna need to dub this down a little bit here, and make it more appealing for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's what we did together. Bunch of other character development and other things, but so the original version, if you ever want to read it, it is very, very crass, very dark, very like
it goes way further
than what you saw or read in the script. Way further, completely.
Yeah. So I mean, what are your plans with that script now? Like, where do you want to take it? What do you want to do with it?
The plans, unfortunately, is on the back burner right now. The thing we have right now is he has people that are interested if we would write a horror comedy. So we're working on that. In fact, I was doing that right before I came here.
Oh, okay.
I was on page 30 because he did 60 pages, and I'm just kind of going through and adding my 2 cents. I'm on page 30 right now of the 90. We got to make it 90 pages worth. And I'll get that done probably tomorrow, and then give it off to him, and he'll get back to me. We'll just kind of go back and forth till we get it right. But it needs to be done before, I think he said April 20th, because the person wants to see it.
Oh,
so.
Okay. So you guys like make your own deadlines and stuff for this, and
it wasn't going to be a deadline. It didn't start out that way. It started out, we're going to do this, we're going to write, and then he texted me this week, can we have this done by the 20th? I'm like, okay. All right.
And you guys have 60 pages so far.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's 30 more pages. It's
I added 17 more, so now we're at 77. So we're going to get there.
Yeah. Do you and Tony? Do you see your guys' like writing relationship as something you guys could almost be like a writing duo?
Oh yeah, we definitely both have our strengths and our weaknesses, and then like when we come together, it fits perfectly. Like he's good in this area, I'm good in this area, I stink in this area, like that. He doesn't really stink in really any much area. He has a hard time with basically like I'm very rapid fire with the humor, and it takes him he's funny, but it takes him just a little bit more time, and he admits that too. He's just, sometimes he'll be like, tell me like, this needs jokes. I'm just sending it to you. Just go at it. I'm like, because I'll just like, and write through. So that's where we complement each other. I definitely have the joke aspect. Even like the script we're writing, like I even messaged him like there needs to be a character in here that reflects the audience perspective, and we don't have a sarcastic person yet. I think that needs to be the audience's gravitational pull anchor into the script and like that. So I added him in here today, and you can definitely tell like I'm reading because I kept rereading. I was like, oh yeah, this is like way better. Like would that guy need to be there? His characters he wrote definitely need to be there too, but there need to just be that one extra guy just to kind of round it out.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be excited to read that whenever you guys are done with it, if you wouldn't mind.
We took the topic of LARPing, and basically, if you mix Evil Dead with LARPing, so that's basically what it's kind of, and Friday 13th. So those three smashed together into a horror comedy. So basically, these people go to a LARPing event, and all hell breaks loose. And now these people who speak and talk in that realm have to like actually do something. And the thing is, when we created it is they have to stay in the camp because we people could just leave. But we had to create where you had to stay in the campground because if that evil thing escapes, then all hell is going to break loose. So they got to keep it contained and take care of it in house. So it's interesting. It's hilarious to do all those. I don't do LARPing, but I had to do so much research with LARPing with this stuff, like how they speak, talk, dress, everything else like that. The rules.
It's like a cult almost.
Yeah, it's definitely different, man. Definitely different. Like to each your own, man. But I definitely got schooling in a world I'm not really familiar with.
Sure.
So,
now back to your special. I know you said that leading up to the filming of your special, you're having kind of like personal self-esteem issues and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I just kind of wanted to dive into that if you're open to it, of like, and it doesn't even have to be for the special, but just before going up on stage, like how do you prepare yourself for these types of things?
It was more, so I'm fine. I was fine individualized, like going up and doing things. But then like when I had like got this, I was able to film the special, then it really, reality became so true. Like, oh my God, like, and one part I don't think many people know, I think I only really told on one podcast so far, and this would be the second, where it was offered to me a year earlier than that, and I turned it down.
Really? Wait, so it gets offered to you by Amazon?
Through a connection that Tony has through Amazon, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's through,
that's interesting.
It's through him. Again, domino effect. Let me just talk about domino effect real quick here.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to just preface with this. So, I was going to quietly quit comedy, and I put out a self-produced comedy album. It was just a bunch of cuts of jokes from the early years, and I just spliced it all together and threw it out. And it was called Bits and Pieces. And then Arts Altoona got wind of this, and apparently they fired or let go or quit, however you want to look at it, this person in this comedy writing class who was teaching them how to basically steal jokes and get away with it.
Yeah.
And like, can you come in and fill in for the last few classes? I was going to say no, because I feel like that's more aligned to people who've got more exposure, did more things in the comedy thing. And my wife just like kicked me, and she's like, you need to do it. So I did it. And Tony was supposed to be there, and he came way late. And basically at the end, I was like, do you have anything you want to say? I didn't even know who the guy was. Yeah. Yet he's like, no, I think you said everything. I was like, all right. So
wait, then, this is when you first met Tony?
Yeah, I first met Tony. Yeah. So then we just started talking afterwards about everything. And the domino effect is, if I didn't say yes to that, didn't meet Tony, it would never snowballed into the Amazon Prime's video special. It never would. It just, viewers out there, say yes to things. Stop saying no.
Yeah. I have a problem not saying no sometimes. Like you said, I say yes to too much stuff.
Oh, no, I have a problem. I have a problem saying no all the time. No,
really?
No. I gotta say yes more often.
See, I wish like some of that rubbed off onto me, and like me saying yes maybe rubbed off on you. Yeah. So that's interesting. I didn't know it got offered. I didn't know like it got offered to you. That's cool. Cause I was going to ask like, how does that even, like, I can't just go and like film a whatever and just put it. It's not like YouTube. You can't just like put it on Amazon. Like I didn't realize that's how that worked. Which I was trying to get that out of Tony, like how he did it, and he never really gave me an answer. And I was like, well, all right, I guess you just probably just contact them and say, hey, I want to put this on here, but it gets offered. That's interesting. So what was your thought behind it? Like when you got that offer?
We were in the midst of a break of a writing session for Timothy, and he just brought up, and we're just kind of talking about life then, and he just brought up because, hey, by the way, he's like, I have a connection. I think it might be able to get you a special on Amazon if you want to do it. And I was just like, what? What did you say? And I was like, I'm right. I just said I'm right. And then he's like, you sure? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. Let's just focus on the script. And then it was like, again, that was a year later. I messaged a friend of mine who was putting his special out on Amazon too. He said, I was telling him, hey, I had the offer too. And I was like, I turned it down. He goes, why would you turn it down? I was like, well, I mean, no one knows who I am. And B, you're out there touring. Like he actually tours and everything. He's met and opened up for famous comedians and stuff like that. I was like, I haven't done anything like that. Like it's like I don't have the credibility that you have. He's like, yeah, but also at the same time, no one else is asking, other comedians that I know, do you want your special to be on, Amazon? I'm like, that's true.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, people are gonna hate me for it because like he didn't earn it. He's like, screw him.
Yeah,
like,
he gives a shit.
He gives a shit, man. He's like, do you feel you earned it? I was like, in my own way, my comedy path is vastly different than the typical comedy path.
Yeah.
As I have my own, like when we do stuff here in town, we only get 5 open mics a month to try stuff out, and then you have a show. So it's so much on you to get it right before the show. Because up in like Pittsburgh, for instance, you can go up 6 times a night if you wanted to.
Yeah.
There's a show on open mics. You can work a bit out that week and be done with it.
It's more pressuring here.
Yeah, it's more pressuring here. It's just trial by error by so much pressure with that. So that led me into believing that because I had a vision of how I wanted my special to go. I was like, I wanted to be that old school style where it's just like anywhere between 4 to 7, maybe 10 seconds, there's just a joke. Boom, just hitting you with the jokes constantly.
Yep.
And at this point in time, then I just had like, here's a one-liner joke. Thank you. Here's a one-liner joke. Thank you.
Yeah,
there wasn't this rolling of...
It didn't like flow.
Yeah, it
like,
didn't
together.
flow.
Sure.
And like, sure, there's comedians that do that. Dimitri Martin does it. Zach Galifianakis does it. They have, here's a joke. All right, here's a joke. All right. And that's what they do. And that's fine. I love those guys. But that for me, I wanted to be a different style. I wanted to be this constant. I guess my idea was if I'm going to put myself out there and no one knows who I am, they're going to be judgy. And if they're going to judge, I want it to be so undeniable that you're like, oh yeah, this is funny. Like he just constantly kept hitting the jokes constantly. Because I could see if I just did a set up punchline, see you later. People were like, all right, well, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
And my style is more old school with that old style. You just keep hitting it, boom, boom, boom. And what inspired me to be like that was a guy named, he would go, it's called Altoona Grand Hotel, but back in the day it was called Ramada Cosmopolitan in town here. And there's this guy named Chili Chalice. He was a head writer for Jay Leno. And when he came to town, he was like that. It was still this day, I've never seen anybody just hit it so hard with constant barrage of jokes. He was even shorter. A lot of times, it was only 2 seconds between a joke with him.
Oh, my goodness.
And like,
wow.
You just like, I can remember telling my wife when I saw him, I was like, if that needed to be recorded just so I could hear all the stuff I'm missing. Because there's so many punchlines that you're not hearing.
It goes by so fast.
You're not hearing it all. There's no way. And I was like, that always inspired me to be like that. I wanted to be that style. Maybe not so much every 2 seconds, because I want to at least hear something that I'm saying. But a quick amount of, they call them LPMs, last per minute. Like a high ratio of last per minute. And that's why I inspired to be. And so when I asked Tony a year later, almost a year, it was probably like 10 months later, but it was like when I got the yes, it was a year later again. I was like, is that still on the table? Can I still do this? He's like, I'll ask. I'm like, all right. And he asked, and I found out the news and made the announcement. And then that really kind of like, I had to throw away my self-esteem because I just don't have a great self-esteem. I'll just be honest, I don't.
Sure. I mean, yeah, some of us don't.
And I'm working on it like other people. We all have something we're working on.
Yep.
And I'm just working on my self-esteem so I had to get that out of the way. So for whatever reason, I was able to shove my self-esteem down all last year for 9 months as I prepared for this to get where I wanted everything to be with the jokes, constant barrage, and then like I'm hitting open mics in town, out of town, shows in town, shows out of town, just constantly grinding away. And then the last month, I didn't do any shows in August last year because I wanted to just focus on the memorization and stuff like that to make sure I have it tight. Because I did an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a long time.
And we only took 33 minutes of that into the special. And it's not because anything bad or anything like that. Nothing, everything worked. It was just because I saw David Tell. I don't know if you know who David Tell is.
That name sounds familiar. Is he a famous comedian?
Oh, yeah. He used to have a show in the 2000s called Insomniac with David Tell. He has a lot of famous jokes.
I think that name sounds really familiar. I don't know. If I saw his face, maybe.
You definitely have seen him.
Sure.
So we saw him at the Improv in April of last year, and there's a huge line. And I was like, I don't want to wait for him. And my wife's like, he's like your favorite. I'm like, I know. I was like, the line was huge to people waiting to see him. So, of course, the line was huge to go to the bathroom too. So that's where I went. I was like, I got to pee really bad. So we pee. I pee and I get out, and my wife's like, there's only 3 people left in line. I'm like, okay, well, no excuses now, I guess.
Yeah.
So I get in line and wait for him. I get his autograph and take a picture with him. And my wife kept saying to me before that, she's like, tell him about your special. I was like, I ain't telling David Tell. He's been around since the 90s, done everything, knows everybody about some schmuck from Altoona, Pennsylvania who's filming a special that nobody knows. Yeah. I'm cool. So so she just tells him out of nowhere, blurts it out, he's filming a special later this year. And he goes, oh, really? And we just started talking about it. His advice to me was, no one knows who you are. So my advice to you is keep it 30 minutes. Don't do an hour. Don't do 45, 30 minutes. It's easily digestible for people to like, who is this guy? Well, it's only 30 minutes of our time. Click, check him out. Versus you got an hour 20, something like that. No one's going to watch that. No one knows who you are.
That makes sense. So the special's 30 minutes long?
Yep.
Huh. And that's from the advice of David Tell?
Yeah.
Wow.
From him.
That's interesting. I have a game to play with you right now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get warmed up here. What game is this?
So the last guest I just had on, we played a game where we blind ranked. He's a musician, so we blind ranked 5 rappers without knowing the next person. So I'm going to do the same with you.
Okay.
I'm going to have you blind rank 5 comedians from number 1 being the best, number 5 being the worst out of the 5, in your personal opinion. And you're not going to know which one comes next. So like when I say the first name, you're just going to have to put them anywhere from 1 to 5, and then that spot's taken.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, cool. So blind ranking 5 comedians, 1 to 5. First one, Norm Macdonald.
Oh, God, 'cause I don't know who you're going to say next. You bastard.
Yeah, right. See, that's the whole point of the game. It's tough.
Man. I'm going to go number 2.
Number 2.
Number two.
All right. Norm Macdonald's my favorite. That's my favorite comedian of all time. But number 2 is good. Okay, second one's Bill Burr.
God, I don't know. Okay. I'm going to put him at number 3. Number 3.
Okay.
Number 3.
Just because we mentioned him before, I'll say Pete Davidson.
5.
5. Okay.
5.
Okay. Oh shit! What was the one guy I was thinking of just before we did this?
Oh yeah, Scott Kelley, number 1. Yeah.
Now I'm like blanking. We'll go Jerry Seinfeld.
I go 4. 4.
Okay. Yeah.
So you got the number 1 spot still.
Number 1 spot. Oh. I guess you have to put him there, but I had a guy in my head. I can't remember what his name was.
You're going to say Carrot Top, aren't you? And I'm going to put him at number 1.
Oh, that would be funny.
Above Norm
I
Macdonald.
should. Yeah, I should. No. Oh man, it was an older comedian. He always did the stand up for Reagan all the time.
Robin Williams?
No, not that one. Oh, that would have been a good one to put in there. No, he's bald. He played Mr. Potato Head in Toy Story.
Oh, yes.
I see his face. That was the guy I was trying to say.
Oh, I see his face too. Oh, Don Rickles.
Don Rickles, yeah. That's who I was going to say instead of Jerry Seinfeld, but I couldn't think of Don Rickles, so I said Jerry Seinfeld.
I would put Norm Macdonald above Don Rickles.
You would?
I would.
Now, would Don Rickles be number 2?
No, he'd be number 4.
Really?
Yeah, he'd be number 4. Funny.
Yeah.
Definitely funny.
I like Don Rickles. I'm definitely not a fan of Jerry Seinfeld. And
He has. Do you ever see his stuff from the 80s though? Do you ever see his old stuff? Like
nothing before the show Seinfeld.
there's I think it's called Stand Up Confidential. It's on YouTube. It's his old stuff. There's some good bits in there.
Really?
Some really good bits. Some of them I've never even heard like anywhere else.
Really?
Yeah, there is some good stuff. He's hit or miss for me. I definitely like his uniqueness, the way he phrases jokes and stuff like that. Actually, his special he put out just a few years ago called 23 Hours to Kill on Netflix. There's a version of that online that's way better than what was filmed for Netflix.
Really?
Especially the opening joke about where you got to be. He did way better on, I think it was David Letterman at some point before David Letterman's show was off. That version of that joke, and that version he did for David Letterman was way better than the final version he did for Netflix. Just my personal opinion.
Sure. Yeah, I've never been Jerry Seinfeld always just seemed like a dick to me. Like
I get that.
You just see he has the way he carries himself. I've never been a fan of, and that just makes me not like him.
Would you like Larry David? Because I know he was.
Larry David's not bad. I like him on SNL, like when he was doing the SNL stuff. Like I liked him on there, like when he would appear on that stuff.
Curb Your Enthusiasm is one of my favorite shows. I just like the awkward cringiness of every interaction.
I'm like that with The Office. Like I love The Office.
Yes, we do. Me and my wife do The Office. Our number 1 would be a TV show called Psych. I don't know if you've ever seen Psych.
I have like this vivid memory of me as a child. My mom watched Psych all the time, and yeah, that show was like in the 2000s, wasn't it?
2006 to 2014.
Yeah. I remember watching that show all the time. I didn't know what it was, and it was like detective stuff.
Yeah, he pretended to be a psychic. The only reason he did is because his dad he was a police officer that just grilled him all his childhood to be like this perfect cop, and that made him just not ever want to be a cop.
Yeah.
But he can't turn those senses off, so he like sees like things happening, and he calls the police in, and he collects a reward.
That's right.
And they think he's an inside man, and he's just ratting people out.
Yeah.
So he has to pretend he's psychic, and that just started his whole psychic business.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never really wrapped that around when I was a kid. I just remember like my mom would laugh her ass off at that show.
It's silly, fun, nonsense. They have a few serious episodes. My favorite episode is one because I'm a huge Friday the 13th fan. So their episode they did spoofing that, and it's like was called Tuesday the 17th, and it's just a hilarious spoof. They got everything right from like the way all those movies would be when the climax would happen, when Jason would come out and it'd be like storming thunder and the wind's picking up. They nailed everything down with like mimicking like you were watching a spoof of Friday the 13th, but like everything being the same. It was cool.
Yeah, I remember that show. Like you like unlocked something that I haven't seen in like years. That was kind of weird. Is there any other, anything else you want to tell our audience before we sign off here, other than, of course, watching his Amazon special on Prime? But
we have outside my Amazon Prime special called Word of Mouth. Check that out. We actually have a show on the 19th at the Comedy Farm. It's the 1 year anniversary of the Comedy Farm.
Oh, okay.
So people can come tickets to that. It's gonna be a fun night. Lots of guests, things they've never seen before. The audience hasn't. It's gonna be. We're pulling all the stops out for it. It's just going to be a fun night.
Sure. And just because it's only appropriate, I'm going to ask you, do you have one joke to tell us? Your favorite one, or anyone you want to tell?
Just like mine or just somebody else's? It doesn't matter who.
It doesn't matter who, your own or anyone else's.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of my favorite one. Okay. My favorite one is one that got my very first laughs. It was a joke that I wrote where I said, my dad took me hunting once. He wore orange. I wore antlers. So I just like that joke. It was clean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just a quick one-liner.
Quick, clean one.
Was that the first one that got your first laugh?
That's my biggest laugh. Yeah, it was my first biggest laugh. Yeah. My anorexic joke is the other one that got the biggest laughs. So
okay, I got to hear that one now.
It opens the special up, but I say I heard through word of mouth that my friend got a head from an anorexic girl. She didn't swallow much.
I do like that one. That's that humor where like you're going to the line and then you just kind of pull it back.
And I follow up with saying I was never saying that joke, almost gagged.
How do you? Well, I mean, we'll save it. We'll save it for the special. But like, I'm sure you have like a bunch of.
There's
like,
more. There's more.
Yeah.
There's more. That was the biggest one. Actually, everywhere I go when I say a joke, I get like a minute pause moment of laughter because I put it right up front in the special. I didn't get the minute pause laughter, which I kind of thought wasn't going to happen because it's so. How should I say it? It's so raw and in your face right up front to start a special.
Yeah, like
right
first,
from the gate.
Out from the gate. Yeah,
right from the gate. So I knew it wasn't going to be like, and I kid you not, 10 out of 10. Anywhere I go with that joke, I have to wait a minute for the laughter to calm down and things like that. And then I will pause and be like, thank you. And then
do you thank the crowd after you like get a laugh from them? Like, are you like, do you always?
Once, occasionally, sometimes and it actually. Nick Ivanko, who did the special for me from Minor Media, he actually got it recorded one of the times I did say pause. And I said thank you. We cut that in the special. It adds more to the joke. But yeah, I knew. All right, so just real quick, I just want to say, George Carlin opened up a special. I think it was called "You Were All Diseased," but don't quote me on that one. Where he immediately got to joke. He said immediately, "You ever realize people who are protesting abortion are the people you never want to fuck in the first place?" And that's right from the gate. You're not warming anything up. I was like, I want to go right for their throat, right for the gate.
That is like such a good way to start a show. I feel like just hitting them with a hard one where it's like, holy hell! Like
they didn't know they laughed and everything, but like we caught it too, where a woman said Jesus, and I said Jesus ain't here tonight, lady. And we caught that because nobody's expecting you to be like that and everything
right away.
My new opening stuff is not like that. It's very friendly opening,
sure,
and everything. But like for the special,
inviting,
I just wanted everybody to be like knew what they're getting into.
Yeah,
I tried my hardest to put promotional material out there to like this is what you're getting into.
Yep.
If you're coming to see me, it's gonna be these kind of jokes. And I would revealed some of my jokes that were more darker, harsher, like that. And not that my whole special is like that, but I wanted to make sure I got the right crowd of people.
Sure, yeah.
You know. So when I was doing the promos, I wanted that people to think, okay, well, this is what we're gonna get to. So we buy tickets, we can't say anything.
Yeah.
And we only had during taping. I don't think I ever revealed this actually anywhere. We only had during the taping. It was 2 senior couples. Halfway through, they just got up and left.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Couldn't take it.
They couldn't take it. It was actually more than halfway through. We were at the hour marker. They couldn't stand the next 20 minutes. And they're just, they got up. I don't know if there was like, we got to take our pills and go home.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but they sat there for an hour at least. And they're just like, we're done.
Was it a joke that you said that might have...
I have no idea. I just remember seeing it. We don't have it even recorded. I just remember seeing them just get up and everything. It was when I transitioned to from doing typical stand-up and I went and got my guitar to do some stuff. It's during that transition period, I just saw them get up and they just like slowly walked out. And as I was plugging my guitar in.
Oh, man. I definitely want to watch... your Amazon special, and I invite everybody else to watch it as well. But yeah, Scott, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Yeah. I'll just say for everyone watching, if you like dark and dirty humor mixed with sprinkles of clean, that's my style and everything. So if that's what you like, please definitely check out the special.
Yep, absolutely. Scott, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another episode of Beyond the Set. I hope to see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.